My name is Mike Shum, and I'm a documentary filmmaker. My journey from when I graduated to what I'm doing now was myriad, to say the least. I had worked on a lot of projects for different outlets, but it's been primarily freelancing and primarily cinematography, but also editing as well too. And yeah, I think I got a couple big milestones within that scope of time, and that is pursuing the production of a feature documentary film that eventually is called Hondros, and is broadcast now digitally on Netflix. And outside of that, working primarily as an observational documentary cinematographer. So. I majored in sociology, and I double minored in African studies and cinema studies. I took the first job that would take me, and that is I was an admission counselor at Colorado College. I was an admission fellow as an intern while I was a senior here at CC, and then there was a vector into that position when it opened. So I took it and stayed there for a little less than 3 years. I was in Denver, Grand Junction. I was driving around. I was living out of my car for a period of time. Yeah, I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. Then I went to Nairobi, Kenya, because I'd studied abroad in Tanzania, and I felt that was an appropriate location to start doing some semblance of the work that I wanted to do. And so I bought a Canon T2i with a pretty solid 24-70 Sigma lens and a mic set, and I started making really bad NGO films. Yeah, for a good chunk of time. For some reason, I fell into journalism, and by that reason, I simply mean in the rising age of YouTube and digital media, the difference between me and a big film crew on the ground in some sub-Saharan African country, the difference became increasingly marginal. And so I kind of got my start around where everyone else was getting their start in digital video for newspaper outlets like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and Time Magazine, which were some of the first few clients I worked with near the beginning. I think it's important to be afraid. The idea of raw confidence, I've never been that kind of person, but I've been the kind of person who's been able to dissect my fears. And so the ability to slowly and carefully approach my fear until I have to actually leap. I'm making a leap not out of confidence, but out of understanding of what I'm afraid of. And so the idea of facing fear is kind of a broad jump, but I think it doesn't have to be that intense. It can be more calculating, and yeah, that's one. That's probably one. Yeah. Okay, and the second one really is like, I think it's important to leave your community, to leave the Colorado College friends you have in a way. Everyone's got their own lives. You should lead your own life, but stay connected with people, even if it's in a cosmopolitan sense, because they come through for you, and over time. And some of my biggest achievements were due in large part because of some of the friendships I've held since Colorado College. Yeah, and I don't know if that's unique to a lot of other places, but at least for me, it was a big determinant point for me. So, I don't think a CC student's any more unique than any other student out there, outside of the conditions the school provides. Now, how you approach the block plan and how you approach this institution should determine how well you do, I think, in some sense, because the ability for the block plan to allow students to not just focus, but fully live in that course and that major allows for that sort of training wheels for what it's actually like when you do leave an institution that houses you and protects you, because there's no protection out there. But I think those are what Colorado College has, is a system that provides pretty interesting and dynamic training wheels. And if students really take full advantage of that and challenge themselves within that system, I think they'll do better than they think, than other students of other institutions, I think, to some extent. So, yeah.